Champions Cup round number 2. Bristol, 61 points to Poe's 12. That's a hiding. Apologies, I don't have the jerseys of either of these teams, which is an unusual one for me. But yeah, I got to see these two teams for the first time in a while, and that was lopsided. And Bristol didn't even score in the final 20 minutes. This was looking like it could be 70 or 80 points for a while, but the final 20 kind of just petered out. We'll go through some of the key events and the stats, but it's a pretty lopsided one, and Champions Cup had a lot of lopsided results on the Sunday games. You may be asking, why did I choose this one to watch? This one had the most New Zealand-friendly kickoff time with 6:30 in the morning. Everything else was about 2 hours earlier than that or more. So, yeah. Still pretty lopsided scoreline. Poe made a lot of changes, and it's one of the things I still struggle with a little bit about the Champions Cup is the amount of B teams, or at least much changed lineups to go well. I think Bristol changed, was it 5 players from their last week's game? And like Poe changed like 10 of the starters and 7 new faces in the lineup. So there was a lot of changes. I get it. The coaches need to manage the talent. They got to prioritize games. You can't just flog the same guys. I 100% understand it. But as soon as the commentator said that, I thought, ooh, this could be a lopsided game. And sure enough, 61-12. I even missed the first Bristol try because I set my alarm for 6:30. Thinking, oh, well, if I miss the first couple of minutes, that'll be fine. No, I missed the first try. Ellis Genge scored. And then they immediately had to go on the defensive, Bristol. They held Poe out for loads of phases, which was pleasing from them. They did score their next try as well, and it was kind of pleasing if you're a Bristol fan. I don't mean to be a downer, because you guys would have enjoyed that immensely. You guys are 2 from 2 in the Champions Cup thus far. Bit of an ugly scraping through against the Scarlets last week, and then an emphatic win. You guys should be full of joy to see you guys run riot. Yeah, like basically like one shot, one kill kind of thing from Bristol with their chances taken, right? After doing a bunch of defending, Fitzharding with the wee break and just pops the ball to Benjamin Grondona. Great support line from the other loose forward. So 14 points to 0, cracking stuff. And Poe, even though they're conceding 61 points in this game, they were dominating the possession in the territory at that time. It's kind of counterintuitive, but no points from it. I had a look at the 20-minute mark, and they had made only 19 tackles to Bristol's 44. Bristol were tackling at 96%, whereas Poe were at 76%, which is poor. Like, anything below 80 is bad. 85 is usually okay. You're in the 90s, you're cracking, you're at 96. Very classy. They couldn't maintain that the entire game, Bristol, but yes, there was a big difference in the defensive shifts between the sides early. Ruthless when Bristol got their third try. Genge, Janssen van Rensburg, short ball to Benjamin Grondona. He sets up one for the third one. That one was Marmion with the typical halfback support line, so 21-0, chasing the bonus point, and it looked a little bit forward, that one, but I think kind of like yesterday's match that I saw between Toulouse and Glasgow, when you catch the ball behind your hip, it makes the pass look more forward than it actually was. So I'm pretty happy that it was flat enough. Poe, their number 10, Mondrian, did put a try-saving tackle on Carrington in the corner, which at least stopped the rot for a little while. But the Bristol forwards went close not too long later, couldn't get the ball grounded. Didn't matter because from the goal line dropout, Bristol pretty much scored directly. Ravovo, a pretty nice finish in the corner. They put some real width on the ball. One-handed grounding from him. Bonus points secured before half-time. The Bristol boys also finished it off with a 5th through Gabriel Ogra with a maul try as we went into the kind of clock in the red. So started with a scrum penalty. 33-0 at half-time. That is a scoreline. Possession was 51-49, which seems like it was pretty even, but it was all Bristol in those final 10 minutes when they ran in those tries. So 94% of the last 10 minutes of the first half were Bristol in possession. Otherwise, Poe had heaps of ball. Territory 61-39 to Poe, believe it or not, and yet they are scoreless. They've coughed up more ball, 9 turnovers conceded to 6. And they have missed a few tackles, it has to be said. Second half, the demolition continues. Marmion dink over the top Sets up Yunsuf and Redberg from a nice line-out play, 40 points to 0. And then another long line-out play from Bristol. They were getting quite creative in that regard. It was very pleasing to see. Pat Lam will be pleased to see, I don't know, just certain things clicking into action. But at times, again, Poe's defence, one-on-one tackles were a bit poor. It was, I want to say Will Jordan. He plays for the All Blacks. Tom Jordan with the kind of line break. And then rampaging Batley out on the right wing. Another try, 47-0. Dan Robson did put a kick through for Bralbore, who looked the best of the Poe players by a mile, and I'll get to his stats in a second. He gets his first of 2. That's a nicely taken one, so they don't get nilled. They're at least 7 points on the board. But Bristol went straight back down the other end and scored. Bossoff got one. That one, if you're Poe, you'll be looking at that and go, how did we concede? That was like a hot knife through butter. Unbelievable. Just maul, one pass from the halfback to Bossoff, who just cut straight through Poe's defence. 54-7. And then Grondona, Santiago got one from turnover ball. Just Poe couldn't exit. On their own goal line, just covered the ball. He just picks it up and goes over. That's when I look at it and go, I probably could have scored that if I had the reaction times to pick up the ball and run a few metres over the line. Maybe I wouldn't have. 61 points to 7. But that's the final scoring for Bristol. If you are going to be very harsh on them, you will say, well, you didn't score any points for the last 20. You made some subs and whatnot. It didn't quite click, or I don't know, clutching at straws to find negatives there. But they genuinely didn't score for the final quarter of the match. Poe did. They got a second one through the man Brewer Bray after the forwards had gone close. They spun it out wide to the right wing, and he goes over to make it 61-12. But yeah, it could have been 70. It could have been 80 if Bristol had kept up their scoring pace, but they didn't. It kind of got a bit scrappy. There were a few knock-ons. Poe managed to get a bit more of their scrum going because it had not been good in the earlier periods of the game. But no more points to be added to the board. Line breaks is 7 apiece, but is this man Bro Beret for Poe? I don't think I've ever seen him play before. He had 4 of them for Poe. He was a man possessed. He was their top tackler with 13 and their top tackle buster with 6, top for the match. You wouldn't know it looking at the scoreline that a Poe guy was dominating some of those numbers. Rubiolo had 13 tackles for Bristol. Ravovo beat 3 defenders. Benjamin Grondona had 62 metres. But yeah, not a good day at the office for Poe. They coughed up more ball. They missed more tackles. They had more territory. But yeah, as I said, not a great day at the office for them. For a much changed lineup. And Bristol, I think, a bit easier on the eye than last week. So there you go. Poe away to the Scarlets once we resume in January. And Bristol will head down to South Africa to take on the Bulls. Bristol, I think, have still got a couple of tough games to go. But they've certainly opened their Champions Cup account for this new season pretty well. 2 from 2. Gonna go make some breakfast for my children who are on summer holidays here in NZ. You guys take care of yourselves, and yes, I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.